Once upon a time, deep within a lush and verdant forest, there lived a little bird. This little bird was known throughout the woods for its impatience. Every little bird in the forest had a nest, and all of them were filled with eggs. However, our little bird's nest was different. Instead of eggs, it had a single seed, a seed unlike any other. It wasn't just bigger than the others. It was also incredibly beautiful. Every morning, our little bird would wake up with the sunrise and gaze at the seed, hoping it would sprout into a flower that day. But each morning it would be disappointed because the seed hadn't sprouted. Days turned into weeks, yet the seed remained unchanged. Meanwhile, all the other birds had laid their eggs, hatched chicks, and raised their little families. They would chirp merrily as they flew around, carrying seeds and fruits to feed their young. But our little bird spent its days alone, watching the seed and grumbling under its breath. One day, as our little bird sat on its branch watching the other birds flying around, it couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. These silly birds, it thought to itself, don't realize how lucky they are to have so many seeds. If only they knew what a treasure I have, they wouldn't be so carefree. As the days passed, the little bird grew more and more impatient. It wanted its flower to bloom so badly that it stopped eating and drinking, thinking only about the seed. One day, it decided it had waited long enough. It would take matters into its own beak and find something else to eat. So it flew down to the ground and started pecking at some seeds. Just as it was about to give up hope, it saw a tiny green shoot emerging from the soil. With a joyful chirp, the little bird flew over and began pecking at the shoot. At that moment, a wise old tortoise, who had been observing the bird from afar, slowly made his way over. Seeing the little bird pecking at the tiny shoot, the tortoise spoke up. "Little bird, why are you destroying such a precious bud? That is no ordinary plant. It's a rare and beautiful flower that will soon bloom into one of the most stunning blossoms in the forest." The little bird froze and looked at the tortoise in disbelief. "You're lying," it said. "I've waited so long for this seed to sprout, and if it can't become a flower, then what's the point?" The tortoise looked at the little bird with understanding. He knew the bird had suffered for so long that it had almost given up hope. "Little bird," he said gently, "the most beautiful things in life require the most patient heart. If you want to enjoy the sweet fruit, you must first endure the long wait." The little bird thought about the tortoise's words. It realized that its impatience had made it act hastily and ruined something so precious. Ashamed of its actions, the little bird apologized to the bud. It promised to wait patiently for it to bloom and vowed never to give up on it again. The tortoise smiled and nodded, knowing that the bird had learned an important lesson. From that day on, the little bird became the guardian of the bud. It stayed by its side, protecting it from the harsh winds and cold rains. At times, other birds would fly by and chirp, "Why aren't you gathering seeds with us? You're wasting your time." But the little bird would simply reply, "I am gathering the sweetest fruit, and it's worth waiting for." The other birds didn't understand what the little bird was talking about, but they respected its decision and left it alone. As the days turned into weeks, the bud grew stronger and taller, and the little bird continued to watch over it, patiently waiting for it to bloom. Finally, one morning, the little bird awoke to the most beautiful sight. The bud had bloomed into the most vibrant and exquisite flower in the entire forest. Its petals were like rubies, glistening in the morning sun, and its fragrance was sweeter than any perfume. Overjoyed, the little bird sang a joyful song as it flew around the flower, admiring its beauty. The wise old tortoise, who had been observing the bird from afar, slowly made his way to the flower. He too was amazed by its beauty and congratulated the little bird on its patience and dedication. As the morning progressed, more and more animals came to admire the flower. Squirrels, rabbits, and deer gathered around, marveling at its beauty. The little bird felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. It had waited so long for this moment, and now it could finally enjoy the sweet fruit of its labor. But the most amazing part was yet to come. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the flower began to secrete a sweet nectar. It dripped down its petals, creating a pool of liquid gold at its base. The little bird, unable to resist its craving, dipped its beak into the nectar and sipped it slowly. At first it was just a trickle, but as the minutes passed, the flow became a steady stream. The bird drank and drank until its thirst was quenched and its heart was full. The nectar was the sweetest thing the bird had ever tasted, and it knew that it was all because of its patience and care. The other animals, too, were amazed by the nectar. They had never seen anything like it before, and they, too, wanted to taste it. But the little bird, remembering the tortoise's words, knew that the sweetest fruit was also the rarest. It didn't want to share its treasure, and so it guarded the flower fiercely, making sure that no one else could get too close. As the day wore on, the animals gradually dispersed, returning to their daily activities. The little bird, however, stayed by the flower, watching over it until the sun began its descent. When the sky turned orange and pink, the bird knew it was time to go. It had to find a cozy branch to roost on for the night. With a heavy heart, it left the flower, promising to return first thing in the morning. As the darkness fell, the little bird snuggled into its branch and drifted off to sleep. It dreamed of sweet nectar and blooming flowers, and when it awoke, it flew straight back to the flower. And so the days turned into weeks, and the little bird continued to guard the flower and drink its sweet nectar. It was the happiest it had ever been, and it knew that it had earned its happiness through patience and perseverance. One day, as the bird was sipping nectar, it noticed that its feathers were brighter and its song was sweeter than ever before. It realized that the nectar had not only nourished its body, but also its spirit. It had become stronger and more patient, and it knew that these qualities would help it through the rest of its life. From that day on, the little bird became known throughout the forest as the wisest bird. The bird who waited patiently for the sweetest fruit, and in doing so, discovered the true meaning of strength and perseverance. And so our story comes to an end today. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I did. Remember, my dear friends, that the greatest rewards in life are often worth the wait. Patience and perseverance are the key to achieving your dreams. If you liked this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any of our wonderful stories. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.